All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for finding the new location. I hope it works out well. Everybody enjoys the food and all of that. I'm Dustin. I'm the founder and CEO of Hive Strategy. We're the Denver HubSpot user group leaders. We're a Diamond HubSpot solutions partner focused on kind of pushing HubSpot to its limits. So we do a lot of HubSpot implementations, onboardings, trainings, website design, development, and marketing. So I'm excited to have you all here. Tonight we're going to be learning from Brittany Altmann. She's a senior product designer at HubSpot, specifically focused on Commerce Hub. So lots of cool things coming out from Commerce Hub. We're excited to hear from her. We're also sponsored tonight by Cinch. They couldn't make it tonight, but Cinch is a messaging platform that integrates extremely well with HubSpot for text messaging, one-to-one messaging, mass messaging, all of that. So excited to welcome Brittany, and we'll let you take it away. Brittany!
All right, thank you so much. Hi everybody, how you doing today? Excited to talk to you all about Commerce Hub and our new connected commerce ecosystem that is powered by AI. So before we get started, well actually one thing before we get started, I'm probably going to cough. I was sick 2 weeks ago, which means that my asthma is going to flare up for another month. So I apologize if that happens. Before we get started, how many people here has used a Commerce Hub tool before? All right, I kind of figured that would be the case. We are one of the lesser used hubs, I would say, than our big boys. We got Service Hub, Sales Hub, Marketing Hub. Small but mighty. Started about 5-ish, 6-ish years ago. Don't know exactly when. And we've built a lot since then. So, getting into the presentation, unlocking the power of HubSpot's AI-powered commerce ecosystem. Should I close this door? Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay, cool. Sweet. All right. So, getting into it. How does Commerce Hub connect it all? How does it connect selling, billing, payments, and customer growth into one system? When it comes to what we're selling, we're touching multiple pieces, and that customer journey is also touching those multiple pieces. The deal creates a quote, the quote creates a contract, the contract bills, which creates subscriptions and invoices, and then hopefully customers renew, and hopefully we run into many cross-sell and upsell opportunities as that life cycle continues. Inside of this presentation, I'm going to cover 3 different sections. I'll start off each section going over a bit of the persona, as well as the pain points and the solutions that we're solving for those pain points, and the demo. The demo is going to be the meat and potatoes of what I show you today, to show you how all those tools connect inside of HubSpot and how you can use them and customize them to work for your business use case, as well as what are our new features and some that are coming. The first section, we're going to look at it from the lens of a sales rep and how they use HubSpot to close sales. We're then going to move into RevOps and how HubSpot allows them to automate billing and revenue and payments. And then finally, we're going to look at it from the customer success lens of how can they help grow their accounts, make sure that customers are successful, and look for opportunities for growth and renewals. So before we get into the sections, let's understand why connected experiences matter. A lot of businesses today use multiple tools to sell and to charge and to understand what's going on. They use a separate system for quoting. They have their leads and their sales or their leads and their deals inside of HubSpot. They have a system for contracts and billing. They might use QuickBooks for billing that generates invoices. They might have a separate system for payments. And then finally, they might expect HubSpot to work for reporting, but it doesn't do a good job reporting that revenue at that time, or it's in a separate system. And this results in what we call at Commerce Hub a Franken system. You've got salespeople creating quotes and deals in HubSpot, It's duplicating work across systems. They have to talk with finance ops roles, rev ops roles to understand, was the invoice sent? Was it collected? Where's their account at? CSMs have no look to understand, hey, this customer is doing well, we should try to upsell them. They're not doing well, are they up for renewal? They don't have insight into that system. And then amongst all those systems, the revenue gets lost. And as I said, when everybody's working from a different system, it means that everybody is lost and cannot properly communicate when it comes to their specific roles and the jobs that they're trying to do. And the hard truth is that HubSpot's Commerce Hub started as a Franken system ourselves. We don't have anybody here who's used Commerce Hub, but essentially what it's been in the past is a multi-suite of different tools that you don't know which tool is right for your business. Should I create a payment link or a subscription or an invoice? But it looks like my old quotes might be creating subscriptions for me. So we went down that path when we first started as like trying to grow this suite of tools and realizing that we were going toward a path that was not a connected experience. So we have now built a connected experience that connects selling, billing, payments, and customer growth into one system. Sales reps can use CPQ to sell to customers. Contracts is the single source of truth for all those personas, which I'll show you in a bit. Billing and payments can be automated from those sales and right from the quote being accepted. And then CSM teams can see and have understanding of all of that right from that contract record. All right, now we can get started into the real stuff. Section 1, how do sales reps close faster today through AI-powered CPQ? I'm going to be talking about 3 different features and stories throughout this section: the product library, quotes, and quote templates, as well as AI-powered quotes. So how can I use a product library to streamline my pricing, my packaging? How can I use quote templates to have a streamlined, connected experience across whichever type of person I'm selling to? And finally, how can I speed that process up through using AI? All right, so let's meet Sarah. Sarah is a sales rep who needs, her biggest priority is, I want to sell, and I want to sell fast, and I want to sell a lot, and I don't want it to be hard. I don't want to have to look at spreadsheets to understand what our different pricing and packaging is. I don't want to have to go through slow approval processes if I want to give this one customer 10% off discount. I want to understand what these customers really need and other opportunities in the future. And I want to do all that fast, and I want to do all that efficiently. Unfortunately, that's not the experience that most sales reps deal with today. They're dealing with a slow, inefficient way of working. The longer that this sales process continues out, the lesser chance of closing the sale. If you make any mistakes, it could potentially lead in delays, which could frustrate your buyers, and again, make it not easy to close that sale. If I have my products and pricing in a separate system, and it's not easy to pull that in while I'm creating my quote and my deal, it's going to slow things down. There is one selling motion that does not fit every customer. I might be selling to a more enterprise style business, or it might be a mom and pop shop. So I cannot have one quote that rules them all. It has to be the ability to have different types of quotes, different type of templates, different type of packaging, different types of pricing and packaging. And that all leads to they're spending too much time building. So with AI-powered CPQ, everything is coming together and working to be more fast and more efficient for customers. I'm going to get into the demo, but essentially we're going to look at how the product library, quote templates, AI approval and rules, and signed quotes allow a business to get from opportunity to a signed agreement. All right, so I'm going to switch gears and move into actual Commerce Hub. So just a caveat, this is a QA portal and we are actively working on features. I had to decide, okay, do I use a prod portal, which is not going to have as much to show because we've got some features, we're working on, or just show you a QA. And if we run into a bug, I'll point it out, but hopefully we don't. All right, so you're looking at a deal record. The business I'm selling to is Coda Enterprises. They're going to purchase my international terminal automation. So I'm going to switch persona a little bit though and go back to somebody who's more like a operations type role, and we're going to start in the product library. So I've already got some products here. With products, I'm going to show you what it looks like to add a product. You can add individual products, you could create bundles, or you can create price books. Price books allow you to have a suite of products that are different prices, different packaging across, if it's European versus US, whatever different types of markets you're wanting to go to. You can use price books to sell and streamline everything so you don't have to change every single time I sell to a European customer because all of my stuff is in US dollars. When it comes to products, I'm going to quickly create one. Let's say product manual, just so you know where we're going. I used ChatGPT to make me a little company that doesn't exist and a logo that doesn't exist. So the business we're going to be looking at is Aerosword Tech Systems, and they provide autonomous airport baggage handling robots. So we're looking at it through this lens. Okay, I'm just going to create a product manual to show you. I'm going to skip a SKU and to show you that I can make this be a one-time or a monthly, annual, quarterly, whatever it might be. I'm going to make this one time. What's really cool about products is you can sell through a flat rate or use tiered pricing. So tiered pricing is good if, let's say, I want to sell, if you buy 10, it's this price. If you buy 50, it's $1 less. If you buy 100, it's $1 less. Or if you buy 100, the entire amount is $1 less. There's different price range here. I'm just going to pick volume based, and I'm going to say it's $10 for the first 100, and it's $5 for the next. So you can use tiered pricing to sell quantity-based items in whatever that matches what your business is selling. I also can create a bundle. So I'm going to create a bundle real fast because Coda wants to buy the better bundle. I'm going to call this the better, and I'm going to skip the SKU for now. Let me add products to it. The better consists of professional plan, the actual baggage transport vehicles, a preventative maintenance program, and AI-powered optimization. So I've just created a bundle, and now I'm just going to create it. And again, I'm an operations person. Now, when my sales rep goes to sell in HubSpot, they can just select this bundle. So let's go back to the sales rep persona. Let's go back to Coda's deal. All right, I want to make sure that the line items for Coda's deal are on my, for Coda's deal are on my deal. Where are line items? There we go. All right, we made that handy dandy bundle. I am just gonna add that bundle. So now all the line items are on my deal. As I continue to change things, go throughout my conversation, I can update it right in the deal until I'm ready for a quote. All right, one more conversation back to operations. I know I'm kind of swapping personas, but I really want you to get an understanding of like how you can build things to work for everybody so that the sales rep doesn't have to keep rebuilding stuff. I'm gonna go to quotes. What's really cool about quotes is that you can create quote templates. I'm gonna open my library. I've got a few. I've got one. My partner Ben's got one. I can create a quote template and create them for either change quotes or renewal quotes. Wow, this guy wasn't here 2 hours ago, so that's kind of cool to see. That's the beauty of a QA portal. And when you're doing it, you can, all right, so I can customize anything I need here for this specific quote template. If this is a European quote template, I can make sure, of course, that my language is in a different language. But if they're using different like words, so maybe they don't say effective date, maybe they say agreement date is like the typical term over there. I can change this label. If I know that the European market doesn't allow for payments through credit card, I can turn them off. So I can really customize this quote template to exactly the market that I'm trying to sell with this quote. One feature that was announced recently is the ability to create custom code quote modules. So I can use Claude Code and essentially ask it to create me a custom module that I need for my business. Let's say I have my good, better, best, and I'm trying to tell them, hey, here's like a 3-column table of good, better, best. Here's data from my whatever it is, Claude, just create me that. So that's in beta right now, which is exciting. I'm not gonna bother publishing this template right now, but that's where how you would create custom quote templates depending on which market you're selling to. All right, so back to the sales rep persona. I'm ready to sell to Coda. Coda has decided, yes, you know what, we're on board, we're ready to go, let's go. I'm just gonna use Breeze to generate a quote. I could do this from the quote record, from the deal record as well. But I'm here, I'm just gonna do it here. All right, so it needs to know which deal. I'm gonna tell it Coda's deal. At Coda, let's find Coda's deal. Here we go. Coda Enterprise is buying the better package. So this is gonna pull all of that quote, all that deal data for Coda. Sweet, it's found the deal. It's probably gonna run a little slower since it's QA. Okay, this looks cool. Can you use Britt's quote template? I don't want to use Ben's. Wow, that's a pain in the ass, actually. Okay, Chris, we're gonna need to make that better because I shouldn't tell the exact quote template name. I don't remember what the name was either. Britt's quote template. Okay, cool. So I want it to be my quote template. I don't want it to be Ben's. There we go. Sweet, it's using my template. But you know what? I need to tell it, please sell 10 units of autonomous baggage transport. How do you spell that? Okay. Is that not spelled right? Autonomous. Okay. Baggage transport vehicles. and a 10% discount. Wow, okay, Coda's getting a great deal here. Those things are pretty expensive. All right, sweet, it's doing an adjustment. That looks good to me. Let's just go create the quote. Once it's ready and thinking, here we go. I'm going to give it a look-see, make sure everything looks right. All right, so what it's done is it's generated my cover letter and my executive summary for me. What's really cool about that is that if I've had conversations with Coda and there are recordings or transcripts or emails or whatever it might be, it's going to actually take that from the deal record and put it right into the cover letter and executive summary. So it's using that past content to generate that copy. I've got sweet quantity 10 for the vehicles, 10% discount. This is a annual maintenance. This is a monthly maintenance. So I'll show you that on the contract when we get there. And I want to make sure that billing is on. So because this is a connected experience, I am using HubSpot for my billing and I'm using HubSpot for my payments. I'm good with automatic collection, which means that once Coda pays the first invoice, it's going to auto charge them based on whatever the billing schedule is. This all looks great to me. I'm going to share this. And it's publishing my quote. And I'm going to copy that link and let's look at what the buyer sees on the quote. All right, so this would have been emailed to my customer, or I can send them the link, whatever works best for me. But I've got my cover letter and executive summary. Everything is here. If I put the wrong buyer or the wrong bill to, I can add a billing contact or swap the buyer myself as the customer. If for some reason I have questions, what is my warranty like? What happens if this breaks, whatever. I've got a closing agent here that me as the buyer can ask whatever questions. This did not work earlier, Chris, so this is in beta. Am I receiving a discount? Let's see. Oh, by the way, Chris is a partner of mine in Commerce Hub. He's an engineering manager?
Chris.
Yes, Chris is amazing. We've worked together for almost 5 years since I've been at HubSpot. Hopefully it works, but again, this is QA. So what it does is it'll scan the quote, but it'll also scan any documents that you feed it. So if you have, let's say, specific warranties or specific types of like agreement documents, whatever it might be, you've uploaded that into HubSpot so that your agent can look into, whenever I ask something, it can look. I don't think this is gonna work. So, but again, sorry everybody, it's QA. All right. I'm gonna now move into another persona, which is the buyer persona, and accept this quote. So, this is generating the first invoice because I have just accepted it. I don't have sign turned on, but I could have sign turned on as the seller. And I can go right to paying this and see what I'm agreeing to, what's due now, what's due in the future, and I can pay this thing right then and there. I am going to come back to this and go to the second section though, before I do that. Okay, let's now switch personas to RevOps and understand how HubSpot's connected experience automates revenue, billing, and payments, and it's all visible and done through a contract. A contract is a new record. It is also in public beta, and I'm super excited to tell you all about contracts and how it automates billing and payments. All right, our boy Randy, here we go. Randy is looking to have systems and processes so that when he looks at data in the system, he knows it's accurate. He knows where to find questions about what's the AR, what's the MRR. I need to create reports for leadership and present that to them. This might be more of a FinOps role, but it might be Randy's job to ensure that billing and invoicing workflows are set up, working, everything's good to go. Like Sarah, Randy deals with problems. The invoice gap. Again, I don't know if somebody in HubSpot who we just sold to is up to date and if their invoice is created, because I have to go to a separate system. I have to go look at QuickBooks, and then I have to tell the sales rep who is working in HubSpot, hey, yes, it was created. And because billing is happening in a black box, everybody has limited visibility. Again, finance and operations are working separately because of that, and they're not communicating, and it's a pain in the ass to communicate, and I can't just easily, Sarah can't figure this out on her own. And finally, reporting is a research project. At the moment, to be honest, it's kind of a pain in the ass to do in HubSpot. And it's a pain in the ass to do in other tools. So it's just a big problem for RevOps right now. Enter the contract record. Contracts are now connecting everything. Before, we had a deal that was what we think was sold, but the moment that somebody upgrades or expands or sells or changes, that deal is no longer accurate. Like, it's literally not accurate at that point. The contract record is going to be the source of truth for everything. What was sold? What did the customer agree on? What did they buy? What is the ARR, MRR, ACV, and TCV, and other revenue metrics? What's the billing schedule? When are my invoices coming out? Were the invoices paid? How has this contract flexed and adapted over time? And what is my visibility into the revenue that I can expect as a business? All right, back to this. So, what's fantastic is that I haven't paid this thing yet, but in HubSpot, the contract was already created. So the moment that that customer accepted the quote, my contract is created. Sweet. So I'm looking at the contract. It's warning me, hey, this first invoice is due today. They have not paid it yet. So let me just go on and pay it, and then I'll show you more about the contract. 452, playing, blah, blah, blah. Coda is my dog, that's why its last name is K9. Alright, the payment was successful. Let's give it a little bit of time. Okay, hold on, we gotta wait a little longer. There we go. Alright, so the customer's paid, and I am now looking at my contract record. I have a contract performance card that gives me those valuable data points right up front. What's been collected as well as what's remaining from a net perspective. So this is excluding taxes and fees if I wanted to include, you know, if I was collecting automatic taxes or I had specific checkout fees, I can understand where are we hitting compared to my total contract value. I have my line items here. I have my billing schedule, so I can see that this first invoice was paid, and these are the line items on that first invoice. And here is when all the other ones are remaining. This is a card that is not working, so just ignore that. And then you've got your typical about this contract, and one of my favorite parts about the contract record is the history page. So what this is it is a historical page where you can find not only the initial contract, but changes and when you get to that final renewal over time. So I'll get to that point in a bit. Let's move into the third section. Oh, really important. The flow that you're seeing right now is our CPQ connected flow. The quote is creating the contract. You can also create change quotes and renewal quotes, which I will show you in a bit. But the ability to directly create contracts outside of a quote, so being able to do it through the UI or through APIs, is coming soon. All right, moving on to the third persona. CSM. How can CSMs and customer success teams get the contacts that they need to retain and grow accounts? This is another thing that I'm really excited about for contracts to do. Right now, a CSM has to ask, again, have they been paying their bills? What do they owe? Are they behind? Are they coming up for renewal? Is there some sort of expansion opportunity? I have to go to other systems to find this out. I should be able to see that information inside of HubSpot so I can do my job successful and take care of the customer. We're going to look at it through 3 lenses: revenue and product insight, expansion opportunities, and renewal visibility. We've got Kate here. Kate, main job is to just make sure customers are successful when using our products. I need to know what they've purchased, how they're doing, how they're feeling, conversations that have happened. I need to be able to coordinate with those conversations with sales and support teams. And I need to understand if this account is at a health risk. Again, if they're not paying their invoices, I probably don't want to renew them. Whatever it might be, she needs a system that's going to work for her to allow her to do that. But again, most CSMs are dealing with a reality that is broken. They don't have that customer context. They're inheriting accounts from a sales rep who knows more about what they purchased, and they don't know what was the agreements, how things had changed, what they owe, the renewal blind spot. They don't know when their renewal is coming up. Since I don't have that data easily accessible, I'm probably not paying attention to expansion opportunities, ways that I can upsell them. And again, that entire story is sprinkled about a bunch of systems. Because of the contract, we can give CSMs a place to work all from one place and have all of that information right from one record. And I'm about to show you how we're going to relook at that contract record from a CSM lens and understand. One other thing that's coming soon here is the customer success workspace. Right now, contracts just live within the contracts index records, but we're moving it into customer success as well. All right. Let's go back. So I'm looking at a contract record from a CSM perspective. Let's pretend that some time has changed and they called and they said, hey, we actually need to buy let's purchase another preventative maintenance program. I don't know, I need more than one for some reason. As a CSM, they now have the power to go right into here and creating a change quote. All right, so if I had created a deal for this, which I may or may not have, it depends on your business model, I would see that deal right here. There's a setting to where if you want a deal created automatically for each change and renewal quote, you can turn that on. Let me just create a new deal so I don't muck up the data of my old deal. Code of change. Okay, sweet. And then let's change it to Britt's template. And when is this change going to go into effect? Do I want it to go into effect immediately, or do I want it to go into effect on billing date? We agreed, hey, we're going to pay this. If there's money due, it's going to auto charge me today, so this is going to go into effect tomorrow. And I'm going to prorate this. What that means is that you have the ability to say, hey, you owe me for 30 days for an extra maintenance program, so I'm going to charge you for 30 days. Or if I did it in the middle of a period, it would be 15, whatever it might be. So there's flexibility in, do you prorate a change or do you not? Okay, so what's going on here? It's generated my change, my text, and my executive summary, And if I scroll down, I can see that I have 3 line items that I can change or cancel. So what it's done is it's pulled in those recurring line items automatically into the change quote, so I don't have to rebuild and add the products that they had bought to this quote. So here are those products. I want another preventative maintenance plan. I'm going to add 2. And it's telling me that this has gone from a quantity of 1 to 2. I can expect $180,000 more to my THCV, my total contract value. I could also add, so let's say I wanted to add those manuals that we created, and I need 90 of them. I can also add a product. I'm going to delete the product just for cleaner data right now, but all right, and now it's telling me that, hey, you're no longer paying for 1 of them, you are paying for 2, and it starts on June 4th. So this is all ready to go. I can go ahead and send this to the customer. And through this flow, I do need my customer to approve. We cannot take $180,000 more out of their bank account without getting their signature and permission. But again, the ability to directly edit a contract is also coming soon. So I can quickly make the change, click save, or I can do it through an API, and then I don't have to send the customer a quote. All right, I gotta accept this since that's the flow here. I'm the buyer now, viewing the quote, looks great. Let me just sign it real fast. I don't have to pay for this thing again because I've set up automatic payments. All right, it's been accepted, and I'm going to go into my contract. All right, let's go back to Coda's contract. My TCV has changed. My product is going from 1 to 2. You see this kind of awkward 2 rows because it's prorated, but I can see here that this is where the change happened. I'm paying for 1 on just 1 day, and then starting on the 4th, it's going to be 2. My billing schedule has changed, so it's telling me here I can view my change, which is taking me to the quote. Oops. But if I go to my history, I can now see how that change affected my revenue. I've got an increase of all of my revenue metrics. My line item changed, so I'm seeing that same kind of view that you just saw on the overview tab. But I now know when they changed their contract, how it affected our revenue, how open they are to changes, how open they are to expansions, and the CSM can now see all of that right from the contract record. Finally, let's say that 2 years and 8 months have passed. This is a 3-year commitment contract, and this customer is ready to renew. I will have contract notification settings I can set up. I can also use workflows to just automate the renewal quotes and create it in a draft. We are also working on the ability to automatically renew, have automatic renewals for term contracts. So I can set up my little approach and renewal to get notified and set the number of days. And if I'm on the contract record, I'll be able to see right here, hey, it's ending in 30 days, renew right now, create a renewal quote. So let's say that we're there. I'm gonna go and quickly create my renewal quote. I'm just gonna pick a random one, and then, wait. Okay, yeah, I selected the wrong one. And what's really great about this is, again, it's auto-pulling all of that information and context from the current contract. The text is about renewal, and I am going to buy the same exact thing. I'm not going to make any changes. I could add any sort of like upsells if I need, like maybe this year it's going to be 10% more or something. But if everything has stayed the same, I can just quickly create the renewal quote, share it with the buyer. At this moment right now, the customer has to go through checkout again, unfortunately, to pay a renewal quote, but we're also working on that at the moment. And what's going to happen is that renewal is going to be on the contract screen. I can now see when they renewed. It's going to create a new contract record for the renewal. We're going to go through all this stuff at the moment. Okay. And one more time, let's go back to that contract. Here is my created contract. It's scheduled because it's happening, 3 years from now. But the old contract now is showing, hey, it's been renewed. This, again, is a little wonkier. It has broken, sorry, but I've got my renewal card here. My MRR and error has not changed. My TCV is going down because I bought a bunch of robots that I don't need to buy more robots. And I have my contract. The renewal contract was created right here. So a CSM, if the CSM is the right persona who is doing renewals, it might be a sales rep, whoever, they have all of the context. CSMs, sales reps, FinOps, RevOps roles all have one place to go to understand the connected experience of what's happening in HubSpot. Before I wrap up, I do want to mention one more piece of Commerce Hub, which is payment links. So not every sale needs a quote. Sometimes I want to sell tickets to an event for $35 and I want to throw them on my website and have people buy tickets whenever they want. They can use that through payment links. You can find payment links in the nav here as well in Commerce. This was our first product that we ever put out with Commerce Hub. Fun fact, Chris and I actually created the majority of the experience that you see today. And the tool has the highest CSAT rating of any product across the entirety of HubSpot. So let's say I want to sell product manuals. I can set that up to where somebody can edit their own quantity. I can turn on essentially quantity-based pricing. I don't know how to do that anymore, actually. It's been like 3 years since I've literally created a payment link. Okay, maybe you can't do that. But anyways, I can create a payment link. It's going to create a checkout page that folks can go and buy one product manual themselves, and that's it.
One question on that.
Yeah.
Is that that's the default for any sort of e-commerce? That would make your default tool would be that payment link?
Yeah. Yep. So with payment links, you can embed them anywhere. You can link to them anywhere. They have their own self-hosted checkout pages, which looks like this. You can control the branding, and they've got more capabilities than like selling through a quote. So let's say I'm selling event tickets. I can set it up so that they can select their own quantity. I need to buy it for 5 people. Or if you're like a nonprofit, you can set it so that you can have people set their own price. It's a very fun little powerful tool. You can add extra checkout text. Right now, payment links do not create contracts, but we are also working on that. Just so that there is a place for all those sales, personas to have a connected place to understand how things have changed as well for the customer buying through a payment.
And then on the payment links, and then that would all flow in the back end. So we could, like, I guess, if we wanted to attach like a 10-year to that, like for example, we sell subscriptions to a healthcare clinic, so it's like a 1-month subscription.
Yeah.
Then we can tie that to payment links. So we can see like they're up for renewal at the end of the month if you go.
Yeah, so when contracts create payment links, you'll definitely be able to do that.
Wait,
Yes.
sorry. Payment links have contracts associated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not ready yet, but that's another feature that we're working on is the payment link will create a contract, and that's where you'll be able to see, hey, Susie purchased a subscription through me. You've set up the subscription to be monthly for 1-year term, and she's coming up for renewal.
Yeah.
So it'll work the same process as the quoting process that I had just showed. But you'll be able to directly renew by that point as well.
Right, and we don't need to service that contract soon. It's just that's the vehicle that stores
Yes.
those data fields internally.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. The contract right now is more of a seller-facing thing, so for you and your business. Another thing we're working on that is in private beta right now is a billing portal where people can go and like update their payment method and stuff like that. And we're trying to actively figure out how to make like contracts more visible from a buyer perspective in our billing portal. We don't know the direction of that yet though.
Nice.
So that would be something that you're thinking, like long-term clients, they've had multiple change orders.
Yeah.
They could go into the contract and actually be able to see like at what point were changes made, how did that affect.
Exactly. So one thing that's unique about contracts versus like just creating a subscription is a contract supports multiple billing frequencies in one contract. So I can sell an annual product and a monthly product and one-time line items all in the same contract. If you are, say, a service customer and you do installments. So I'm selling you a website, 50% is due up front, 25% is due in 2 months, 25% is due 2 months after that. With the new CPQ tool, you'll be able to set that up so that it's milestone billing. That is also coming soon. I was told I'm allowed to tell you all that, but I don't think it's in beta yet. But milestone billing is coming very soon. And if you are if you're selling services like that are milestone, and you don't know when the next billing period is, you can just set it up to, like, say, I'm going to self-approve it when it's ready to be billed. And you'll be able to see that on the contract record that is like, hey, I'm going to click a button and I'm going to bill this next milestone. So we're working through a lot of things that were not flexible. We've been working through the past couple of years, and contracts now allows you to sell those multiple products with different billing frequencies at once.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of like betas and some open betas, some closed betas. Just logistically speaking, what's the best way for someone to sign up for one of those?
Yes. So there is if you go to your HubSpot account and click on product updates, this is where you can find betas. You can search by apps or by product or impact level. This is if you're looking for any sort of beta at any time. There are certain betas that are like, well, you can sign up through a private beta from here, Chris, or do you have to?
Yeah, it would be like I request beta wasn't right there. Yeah, it's public ones that you just join right away,
okay,
or
yeah.
private ones you have to ask to join basically. And this looks really empty right now. In a real portal, it'll look a lot. You should see like quite a fair bit. And I always recommend just like signing up for everything. Like,
Give me the experimental.
yeah. Like usually by the time it gets like a real beta, we've already tested it a fair bit, so like you're probably not getting something that's like doesn't work. Yeah, I just found this is going.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you'll see a lot more. And then some betas you have to request, and we have to like approve you essentially. Other ones you can just click join. There's also if you're interested in commerce specific betas, there is the Commerce Hub Community Board. And then there's also an upcoming event for the Admin Hub, which is a virtual hub essentially run by HubSpotters. We are having a Commerce Hub updates with people from the Commerce Hub team who are on June 23rd. So if you want to really get an understanding of like dive deeper into the stuff that I have showed here, I highly recommend that you sign up to that hub.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's it.
Is there anything changing with the e-sign functionality? So like that, the e-signature looked different. Is the like validation of like who's signing changing at all?
We're trying to make e-signs better, but that's not major changing. Yeah, maybe you might see a few things in QA. Yeah, we're working on a small few things, but nothing big stuff. Hopefully someday we'll have the signs like fairly a lot better, but we're a little limited by these Dropbox signs and so it's a little limited what we get from them, but yeah.
And then on the contract historical reporting, are we able to see like what was our contract value before these change orders? Things like that?
Yes. So going back to Coda's record, every change and there's only one renewal, but every change is showed on the history tab. So this is what the TCV was when it initially started, and then it jumped up to 926 with this much increase, and then my TCV actually went down because of the one-time items. So you kind of you get an understanding of like how a change has affected this contract. The other thing about the history tab is it also includes if you have a change in a draft or a renewal in a draft. So if they haven't committed and you haven't figured out the exact numbers, with the draft you can at least get an understanding of how, if you were to publish that quote and it was accepted, how it would have impacted revenue for that.
Sorry, all of this is super interesting to me.
Yeah, you're good.
Rachel was leading an event this morning that was very interesting.
All right.
But also thinking about like the commission side of things. So if you're paying a commission on a renewal, on an initial contract, on like change orders, things like that, through the contract's object, are you able to like create like the calculated properties and report on all of that?
You can add the calculated properties, any type of property that you need on the contract. Reporting, I don't know too much about what's coming for reporting at this time. I will say that because the contract record is a thing that finally is allowing customer success managers to understand what's going on in their space, we're now working closely with Service Hub to figure out like if we're dealing with a commission, or for sales reps, if we're dealing, Sales Hub dealing with a commission, how can we also allow like contracts to have a visible sense into that? Who sold it? If it's a sales leader or a Service Hub leader, and they actually are allowed to see that data, how can we interact? Like, how can we include those commissions and type of stuff?
And as far as like seats go, is this like all of this the Commerce Pro seats functionality?
Yeah, so there is certain tools that I had mentioned. Actually, the one I didn't mention was quote approvals and quote, what's the other word? Advanced quote approvals is only included in Enterprise. So this is like the pricing structure for Commerce Hub. In order to create those quotes that you saw with the very in-depth editors, custom quoted modules, everything like that, that is unlocked by a Commerce Hub seat. Soon, when Direct Create is coming, and you have the ability to create contracts via, UI or API, whatever it might be, those do not use quotes. So you'll be able to say, take a PandaDoc and turn it into a PandaDoc quote that you use through your external quoting tool and create a contract for it. So yeah, I'm really excited about this world. If you have any other questions, of course ask them here, but there's also, where'd my slides go? Jesus. Okay, so here we go. That's my email. I'm Brittany Altmann, and you can get in touch with me. If you're interested in anything like that I've mentioned as well, please reach out and I'll figure out how we can get you on some of our alphas or our private betas that maybe aren't available to request, and happy to show you the stuff that's coming up as well. So yeah, thank you everybody. That's what my coworkers have said actually. That's like that man.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining tonight. We do have another event coming up in August. So that one is going to be by James Falcone. He's a 5-time HubSpot President's Club sales rep. And he's going to be going through how sales reps actually use HubSpot in their sales process. So cool event there. That's August 12th. You can find that at denverhub.com. But again, thank you for coming out. Please help yourself. There's plenty of food. And we'll see you in a couple months.